Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a new action-adventure game from Machine Games and Bethesda that captures the magic and the charm of the film franchise and its globe-trotting experience. Set between the events of Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade, Indiana Jones has to track down a giant man named Locus, voiced by the late great Tony Todd, who broke into Marshall College and stole an artifact. This is where the story begins after an incredible and nostalgic introductory mission. The story leads Indy to the first area I got to explore, the Vatican City. The gameplay structure is set up like this. You're first presented with an open area to do your adventure, which is the main quest line. Then there's field work, which are side quests that provide you with adventure points in that area. But after a little while, you're allowed to roam freely and explore. After you sneak into the Vatican, and then a short cutscene speaking with Father Antonio, he gives you a guise where you can move around concealed as Father Gallagher. This is because the Vatican has recently been infiltrated by Mussolini's thugs. As you sneak around the city, you'll find notes, photographs, letters, comic books, and relics that can help you get extra skills and perks to make your journey easier. There are also mysteries, which are some puzzles that you discover as you move around, such as pulling the right combination of textbooks from a bookshelf that will provide the needed adventure points for level ups, such as increased stamina and health. The adventure books are what you need to find to redeem the points for these extra abilities. Since this is Indiana Jones, there's a lot of history and hidden treasures that will entice you to do some exploration, rather than steamrolling through the main mission. Stealth is a big factor in this game, as you'll have to sneak into restricted areas, and black shirts and Nazis tend to be in any given space, searching for the same treasures as Indiana Jones. The stealth isn't too harsh. If you get caught, the worst possible result is that one of the enemies may blow a whistle, which could have half a dozen guys running up to fight you. The disguises also help you remain inconspicuous in the open areas, unless you find yourself passing a higher ranked officer who's just a little bit more paranoid about who you may be. Sneaking around waiting for the grunts to make their rounds is one way to get around them, or creeping up behind them and going for an instant knockout is another option. Of course, if a body is discovered, then the rest of the guards go on a higher alert and will start to fan out to look for you. Objects lying around can be picked up to aid in knocking out guards, but then there's the risk posed of causing more commotion, as the shattering of the items may be noisy, although sometimes it's definitely worth the risk. Aside from his iconic hat, Indy's whip is the other thing he's always associated with having on his person. The devs over at Machine Games truly understand and respect this because they incorporate it so well into the gameplay. You can use it at a distance to stun enemies, get around their legs to pull legs out from under them, or pull them closer in to get the fight going. What makes it really awesome, though, is using it for exploration. Obviously, you can use it to swing from one spot to another, or you can use it to hang and climb up from areas that might be above. There's even an opportunity to hold it and use it to go down a zipline to cross larger gaps.
Detengo! Detengo! Forza!
Thanks, pal.
Ma tu non sei!
Harrison Ford has made his name essentially synonymous with the Professor, but Troy Baker has dutifully stepped up into his shoes to channel the voice almost perfectly at times. Baker's an incredibly talented voice actor with numerous credits to his name, but I was straight up shocked to hear his Indy voice, which was almost indistinguishable from Harrison Ford's at times. Tony Todd is also another force of nature, but this time as Locus, a giant man who arrives at Marshall College in the middle of the night to steal a cat mummy statue, speaking only in Latin. Then Alessandra Mastronardi voices Gina, who disturbs Indy's quest and then pairs up with him as she searches for her missing sister. The visuals in this game are dazzling. They amaze you with hot deserts, detailed painted interiors such as the Sistine Chapel, and underground caves that are damp and dark. Without illumination, some of them are even difficult to see within, but for some reason, there's always a lit torch nearby. Often I found myself just walking around with the camera in my hand to observe the details and eavesdrops on conversations in Italian or Arabic. Sometimes the non-playable characters would acknowledge Indy and he would reply in the language to those making remarks to him. The combat is fairly simple, but this is mostly an adventure game, but the fisticuffs, blocking, and dodging all rely on your stamina level, which can deplete quickly if you start throwing hands a little wildly. I found it best to either block or dodge and then hit him with a combo, then step back, let my stamina refill, and then keep that pattern going. I did very much enjoy using the whip to stun them at first from a distance. Then I would whip them again to close the gap, pull them forward towards me, and throw a flurry of punches. But that's only when I had to deal with one enemy at a time. Now the revolver is what I use the least since the bullets are scarce and it would break after a few uses, requiring a repair kit to make it usable again, and those were also rare to find. If you do take down an enemy holding a gun, you can pick it up after he's knocked out and use whatever's left in the magazine. And then, after you empty the magazine, you can use it as a blunt instrument to knock out another enemy at once. Overall, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is definitely worth checking out, and there's no reason not to do so if you happen to have GamePass on your PC or Xbox. There's just so many little neat details about the games that call back to the movies, such as Indy's office that has the statue from the first movie that just look awesome up close. The story itself is a great classic Indiana Jones adventure that I think is best experienced going in blind, which is why I barely spoke about it in this review. The game is now available with early access, and the regular release will be on December 9th.